You're watching PEJE TV.
So I'm just going to read you some of the things that came out. Little snippets. Pay over time, perpetuity, tax beneficial, not as expensive as you think, it's a meaningful gift, it's an investment in the future, creating a legacy. All the things that we kind of talked about before came up again. And then Steve had us, well, a few of us, do a couple role plays of specific situations between a solicitor and a donor. And I guess there are a couple Oscars that probably will be handed out to our group for the way things were handled, particularly the widow, who played her role very well.
And one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about was how you felt about doing something that would be long-term to the school, that would allow future generations, your children and grandchildren and my grandchildren, to be able to attend this great place. Is that something that you've ever thought about?
If only I could, Jerry. I love this school. My kids went through there. My grandchildren are starting there. But, you know, I don't know the way the economy is. I don't know how long what I have is going to last. I don't know where I'm going to be at the end, what it's going to look like. I certainly couldn't make a commitment to you or a promise about what I could possibly do.
Sure. That's very understandable. The next question that comes to mind is, forgetting the amounts or feasibility at this point in time, the question that I would have, Allison, is it something, if you could, that you would like to be able to do at some time in the future?
Like my bubby used to say, if I could give you more, darling, I would. But I don't know. I'm just not comfortable telling you today what I can do in the future. I don't know how long I'll be here, how far my money has to go, how long it has to last. I don't know if my own kids are going to need me to be paying for tuition at some point in time for their children. I just don't know.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I would like to ask is if you would give it some additional thought.
Some of the strategies that came out of watching these role plays were that the goal would be initially to plant the ideas and the seeds of this legacy giving. It's really an ongoing conversation. It's different than an annual ask, which you've got a lot of asks to go through. You are trying to put the ask out there and close the gift almost immediately. This is a different kind of ask. It's one where you're planting seeds, you're setting up a conversation, you're asking the donor to think about certain things, and then you're setting up an appointment so that you can continue the conversation. But it's very important to set up that appointment and not just leave it hanging in the air. Really, it's recommended that you go in pairs as solicitors, and that helps to avoid these kind of situations. If somebody starts saying something that isn't really, I don't want to say appropriate, but isn't really going to move you forward, they can actually pull back when they realize it, or the other person can strategically step in and try and redirect the conversation, or maybe refute in a very polite and delicate way what might have been said that wasn't exactly the way it should have been said. One of the other lessons that came out was that in one of the role plays, the donor was instructed that her role was to keep throwing back to the solicitor that, I don't know if I can afford it, and I've got so many commitments, and, the kinds of things you would typically hear. And the solicitor was very good in that he didn't just outrightly refute what she said and say, well, of course it's affordable, we can make it affordable for you. He took the time to validate what the donor was saying and feeling, and then tried to perhaps give other reasons why she could think about that differently.
You're watching PEJE TV.